こんにちは。Welcome to Learn Japanese with Masa Sensei. This is episode 101. Today in this episode, we will learn about passive form. Now let's go. In my past 2 episodes, we learned about how to make passive form and how to use passive form. Today we will learn about passive form of indirect verbs. In Japanese, the passive voice also is used when the speaker wants to inject the sentence with emotion. For example, Japanese speakers often use the passive voice in situations where they want to convey a sense that they are a victim. In other words, they use the passive voice to describe when something bad has happened to them. So in this case, we will use intransitive verbs. Now, first of all, what is intransitive verbs? In Japanese verbs, we have transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. So transitive verb is a verb done to other things. The structure will be pronoun wa, direct object o, transitive verb. An intransitive verb means this is a verb done by itself. So the structure will be noun plus ga plus intransitive verb. So for example, 私はドアを開けました。私はドアを開けました。This means I opened the door. This is a transitive verb because a verb 開けます to open is done to other thing, which is a door. However, the intransitive verb will become ドアが開きました。ドアが開きました。The door opened. So this is a verb done by itself. So intransitive verb is used when the human is not involved in that sentence. ドアが開きました。It can be door opened by itself, or the person who did the action is not important in that sentence. Another example is 私はドアを閉めました。私はドアを閉めました。I closed the door. This is transitive verb. So I did the action to other thing. So this is transitive verb. However, the intransitive verb will be ドアが閉まりました。ドアが閉まりました。The door closed. So in this sentence, a human is not involved. The door closed by itself. So when we make a passive sentence, we can only use transitive verbs. So for example, the door has been opened. We will use the transitive verb. Transitive verb is 開けます。開けます。So passive form will be 開けられます。開けられます。ドアが開けられました。ドアが開けられました。When you want to make a passive sentence, we cannot use the intransitive verb. Intransitive verb of open is 開きます。開きます。So we cannot say 開かれました。There is no such word. We only can use transitive verb. Another example is the door has been closed. To close, transitive verb is 閉めます。閉めます。Passive form is 閉められます。閉められます。So, ドアが閉められました。ドアが閉められました。We cannot use the intransitive verb. Intransitive verb of close is 閉まります。閉まります。We cannot say ドアが閉まられました。We can only use the transitive verb. So this is the basic rule. For a passive sentence, we don't use intransitive verb, but we only use the transitive verbs. However, in some cases, we can use intransitive verbs for passive sentence. Sentence with intransitive verbs can be made passive. In this case, I is the recipient of the action and the intransitive verb is the source of the action. Passive sentences with intransitive verbs imply trouble, damage in the most cases. So it has a negative connotation. For example, it rained yesterday. 昨日雨が降りました。昨日雨が降りました。降ります。This is intransitive verb. When we make this intransitive verb into a passive form, it will become 降られます。降られます。So, 昨日私は雨に降られました。昨日私は雨に降られました。So when we make intransitive verb into a passive sentence, it implies trouble, damage, a negative meaning in most cases. So the translation of this sentence will be, I got caught in the rain yesterday, and then I was in trouble. Another example. The child cried last night. To cry is 泣きます。So, 昨日の夜、子供が泣きました。昨日の夜、子供が泣きました。Now, 泣きます is an intransitive verb. We will make this into a passive form. 昨日の夜、私は子供に泣かれました。昨日の夜、私は子供に泣かれました。So when we make an intransitive verb into a passive sentence, it has a negative meaning. So this meaning will be, I was troubled last night as the child cried. Let's do some more examples. My father passed away. To pass away is 死にます。死にます。So, お父さんは死にました。お父さんは死にました。死にます is an intransitive verb, so we will make this into passive form. 私はお父さんに死なれました。私はお父さんに死なれました。So when we make intransitive verb into a passive form, it has a negative meaning. I was troubled because. So this meaning will be, I was troubled because my father passed away. My colleague was absent from work. Colleague is 同僚。同僚。To be absent from work is 休みます。休みます。So, 同僚は休みました。同僚は休みました。休みます is an intransitive verb. Now we will make this into a passive form. 私は同僚に休まれました。私は同僚に休まれました。The meaning will be, I was troubled as my colleague was absent from work. He quit the job. To quit is 辞めます。辞めます。So, 彼は会社を辞めました。彼は会社を辞めました。辞めます is an intransitive verb. We will make this into a passive form. 私は彼に会社を辞められました。私は彼に会社を辞められました。I was troubled as he quit the job. So in most cases, when we make passive sentence from intransitive verbs, it has a negative meaning. However, this is not always the case. So for example, 喜びます is to be happy. 先生が喜びます。先生が喜びます。The teacher is pleased. Teacher is happy. 喜びます is an intransitive verb. When we make this into a passive form, it becomes 私は先生に喜ばれました。私は先生に喜ばれました。I was pleased by my teacher. This doesn't have a negative meaning. So today we learned about transitive verb and intransitive verb. In my next episode, I will go through the details. So the basic rule is when we use passive form, we have to use transitive verb. For example, the door has been closed. This will be ドアが閉められました。ドアが閉められました。閉めます。This is a transitive verb. However, when we make intransitive verb into a passive sentence, it has a negative meaning. Passive sentences with intransitive verbs imply trouble, damage in the most cases. However, it is not always the case, so it depends on the context. So this is all for today. Thank you very much for listening. I hope it was helpful for you. If you're interested in Japanese grammar, I have my YouTube channel, so please check it out from the description box. I also have Facebook page and Instagram page, so please follow them as well. I will see you in the next episode. ありがとうございました。バイバイ。